With the Advantech subfloor assembly, you can be sure that you're building a reputation on something stronger. And the best builders, well, they may always stand apart, but they never stand alone. So ask yourself, are you bringing your A game?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the studio. So, got a new video for you today. Today we're going to be talking about the elevations and how they relate to that party and some of the decisions we made there to get this project on a roll and what we did to set it up for the construction drawings. So, a big red in hand, break out the drawings and let's have a look at it. Hey everybody, so chose to put the right side elevation here for our discussion. It's the one that really captures the party the most, and then the other videos, or not videos, the other elevations kind of followed suit to this elevation. This is the elevation you see as you approach up the hill, and this is the one that really dominates what's happening inside. So as you can see, we have that main base that we talked about in the party, where this is the two-story section, but this is the one that also has that full basement, right? So that's that solid piece. And if you remember in the party, we talked about that as the building goes to the right, it kind of gets lighter and lighter and disseminates into the air and view. So the full foundation stops here, and then we start picking up the building on a series of piers. Right. So this space is actually open space. Right. In there, you have those piers. So, and then here, this is all solid for the foundation. So you can see as it moves off of the hill, that again, that building's getting lighter and lighter. On the main body of the house, we knew that the sloping roof coming up, we were able to sneak in that one window there that we talked about in our last video, that 10-foot by 16-inch that fills that stairwell with a bunch of light. So this roof is a counterpart to this low sloping roof. And these are 1 in 12s. And they're very low sloping, and they're a metal roof. There. But as you can see out here, the building stops. So that tapers down to a very thin dimension, and then as a mirror to that, the solid part of this deck tapers to a very narrow dimension. So again, you have this two-story solid piece, the single story that's on piers, and then by the time you get out here, we have a cantilevered deck and a cantilevered roof that isn't attached to the ground and isn't attached to each other, to again symbolize that kind of dissemination into the view, right? Now, one of the strong pieces to this was, how do we make that 1 in 12 seem a little bit more dramatic than it actually is? Because it isn't that big of a slope. So we needed something as a counterpoint to it. So that bump out, which is the dining room that is here, and then if you remember, we have concrete pier there that then goes up to a couple posts. But what we did was we brought in a flat roof here. And what the flat roof does is, the flat roof allows us to identify this as a sloping roof, because it becomes the counterpoint to that sloping roof. And even though that sloping roof is very shallow. Having this flat roof as that counterpoint, you get to understand that it does, excuse me, gradually slope upwards. And then in the slideshow you'll see at the end, we actually we did this in a much darker color, so that sits in that foreground and is punched out. And then this has those strong horizontal lines with the 8-inch boral that we used there. So we get that real defined horizontal line action across there, and it's a much lighter color here. Not only did we change that color to that really deep, rich charcoal, but we did a vertical nickel gap siding there with a very tight joint that almost looks somewhat monolithic. And then again with the deck, we finished that with obviously the rail system there where we did stainless steel rods. But I like to have a nice cohesive statement when I'm looking at the elevations too. So we took that detail and we brought it out onto the front here so that we have it in both locations, right? And that the front of the house is actually talking to the back of the house. So this rail system is exactly the same detail that we have out there. So it's kind of knitting the two together, making the suggestion that the areas that you go outside, obviously we have that stainless steel railing system there. And again, we have this concrete pier there that matches the concrete pier there, concrete pier here, and concrete pier there. So we have that cohesive suggestion in the repetitive use of those board formed concrete piers. So, and then of course, you know, the elevation is complete with those very large windows. You know, we talked about those in the last video when we talked about the floor plan and that view off of the hill, the big slider that's in the plane of that wall, and then of course that front entry door here, and then a few miscellaneous windows feeding the bedroom and stairwell upstairs. The other thing too is that, you know, to keep the cars a fair distance from the house, rather than put just a couple steps here and make it that quick entrance, we did a really low sloping ramp. And the low sloping ramp, well, there's a couple pieces to that too. One is it ties into that low sloping roof, right? So we have that cohesive conversation happening there, as well as with the roof there to there. But it makes the journey start somewhere out here, not start right here up against the house. So you actually, you know, have to approach the house, and then you get on that front porch, but then at some point you get undercover, and then at some point you get to go in. So there's basically, you know, 4 phases of that journey of entry. That you have the non-railed sloping catwalk to the horizontal catwalk to the horizontal catwalk to the entrance door to get inside. So anyways, that's a quick chat about the elevation and some of the thoughts that went in behind it.